this morning for our Sunday morning satsang, as well as our viewers on our Facebook page. Before I begin my katha, I would like to express my thanks to all our wonderful devotees who made this satsang possible. Cheering our satsang and streaming on Facebook Live is our Public Relations Officer and Executive Committee member by 𝗔𝗦𝗡𝗥𝗖𝗔. And our Kirtan group this morning comprises by 𝗦𝗘𝗩𝗔𝗦𝗛𝗥𝗔𝗠, by 𝗦𝗔𝗡𝗩𝗔 by 𝗔𝗠𝗘𝗥𝗖𝗔, by Marisa Puran, by Savi, by Radha, and by Ryan Prashad. In the kitchen, we have Bahin Priya Tribuan and Auntie Nanda. At the information desk and monitoring the doors are Baiji Lake Balkaran, Bahin Shanta Prashad, Bahin Deandra Shivnarain, and Bahin Anisa Singh. In helping with the transportation of the bhojan from the other side of the ashram is Baiji Ricky and Baiji Shivir. Devotees, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our over two resident Swamiji, Swami Vishwanathanandaji Maharaj and Swami Shivamritanandaji Maharaj, and also all our devotees gathered here at the ashram and those who have joined us online. We do appreciate your joining us this morning for satsang very much, and you contribute a lot to the success of our satsang. Devotees, my katha this morning is taken from Ayodhya Kand of the Ramcharitmanas. And let us set the scene. The city of Ayodhya was in a joyous mood. Why? Because Sri Ram was about to be anointed as the Yuvraj, the one to succeed King Dasrath. And that was as it should be, because the eldest son was always the one to succeed his father. It was a joyous scene. Everyone was so happy. Everyone except one person. In this chaupai, Tulsidas writes, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Suni priya bachan malina manu jani, ju ki rani barahu aragani. Suni priya bachan malina manu jani, ju ki rani barahu aragani. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Puni asaka bahu kahasi gara phori, Puni asaka bahu kahasi gara phori. Tab dari jeev karavo tori, Puni asaka bahu kahasa gara phori. Jai Ram Shri Ram,
Jai
I said everyone was happy at the news of Sri Ram's coronation or his ceremony to appoint him as the Yuvraj to succeed his father King Dasrath, except one person. That person who was not happy, that person who was greatly disturbed, was an old hunchback woman named Manthara. She was the maid of one of the queens. She was the maid of Queen KAIKEYI. Manthara saw all the grand preparations for Ram's Yuvraj ceremony, and it greatly disturbed her mind. How can someone be disturbed to see the happiness of others? But sadly, it is sometimes true. Some people cannot bear to see the happiness of others, cannot bear to see the good fortune of others. When I was a young boy growing up in my village, I attended a yajna once where the Panditji told a story. He said there was this wealthy man who was very selfish. He didn't help his neighbor and others who were very poor. All he cared about was himself. The neighbor who was very poor was a religious man, and by the grace of God, he was blessed to have a bell. And through that bell, whenever he rang that bell, whatever he wished for, he got. So in time, he also became wealthy. The man who was wealthy in the first place became very jealous. How could this poor man become wealthy like me, he thought. So he asked his neighbor, how did you become so wealthy? You were not wealthy, you were very poor. And the neighbor told him, well, I prayed and the Lord was very kind. The Lord gave me a bell, and whenever I rang this bell, whatever I wished for, I got. So the rich man, the first rich man, thought, well, he wanted such a bell. So he also did sadhana. The law of sadhana says that if you fulfill the conditions, you'll be granted your wish. So when the Lord appeared to that rich man and said, what do you want? He said, I want a bell like the one you give my neighbor. And the Lord said, okay, but I give you with this condition. Whatever you ask for, your neighbor will have twice as much. So he thought to himself and he said, well, no matter what I do, my neighbor will be twice as rich as me, because whatever I ask for, he'll have twice as much. He thanked the Lord for the bell, and when the Lord disappeared, he thought to himself, let me see how I can make my neighbor's life miserable. Whatever I ask for, he will have twice as much. So I want one of my eyes to go blind. He'll have twice as much. Both his eyes will go blind. And I want one of my hands to be paralyzed. So both his hands will be paralyzed. He was willing to have one of his eyes go blind and one of his arms go to be paralyzed, so that his neighbor could suffer twice as much. As he was saying this, the Lord appeared and took away the bell. The Lord said, this bell is not meant for someone like you. So the moral of that story is that when we cannot bear to see the happiness of others, then bad things will happen to us eventually. In the case of that first rich man, very quickly bad things happened to him. Manthara, KAIKEYI's maidservant, could not bear the thought that Ram would be anointed as Dasaratha's successor and plotted to upend the preparations. This Manthara, in her previous life, was an Apsara. She was a heavenly damsel, very beautiful. She was a heavenly maid. Her abode was in heaven. But she was vain about her beauty, filled with pride. She disrespected a holy man one day. And as a result of her disrespect, she was given strap, she was given curse to be born on earth as an ugly, hunchback woman. And you would think that that will bring Manthara to her senses, that she did a wrong and she was given strap. She should try and correct her flaw that brought the curse in the first place, but no. Instead, she continued that same trait. She was showing total disrespect to Sri Ram. Ram was never unkind to Manthara. Ram's mother Kaushalya was never unkind to her. But yet out of jealousy, she decided to create mischief. She went to her queen, KAIKEYI, and she says to KAIKEYI, "Your son is away and you take no heed. You imagine that your lord is under your thumb. You are unable to observe the king's treachery and wiliness. So inordinately fond of sleep are you, and so anxious for your quilted bed." So she takes her hatred for Sri Ram to KAIKEYI, and she speaks very ill of KAIKEYI's husband, the king Dasaratha. She accuses Dasaratha of treachery and wiliness, that he sent Bharat away to anoint Ram in Bharat's absence. She is bold enough to express her feelings to KAIKEYI. And I pause a while. KAIKEYI should have stopped her dead in her tracks. KAIKEYI, when she got married to Dasaratha, had taken a vow of marriage where her lord was her everything. She should never have allowed anyone to criticize Dasaratha, more so a mere hunchback maid. But she allowed Manthara to speak ill of her husband, of the king. It is a betrayal of our marriage vows. It is a recipe for disaster. This Manthara, as I said, chose the path of evil consciously. I've heard it said that were it not for Manthara, all the sufferings of Dasaratha, Ram, Sita, and the queens, etc. could have been avoided. So true. God created both good and evil. Some people don't believe God created evil, but I tell you, this is what the saints say. It is God who created good, and it is God who created evil. Because without evil, there will be no creation. You see, this world is made up of dualities. Paramahansa Yogananda says evil had to be if there was to be any creation. If you write a message with white chalk on a whiteboard, no one would see it. So without the blackboard of evil, the good things in the world could not be magnified at all. However, nobody is forcing us to choose evil. We have free will. We know evil is evil. He who deliberately chooses evil must face the consequences. Ghans chose to be evil. Ghans killed so many innocent little babies in the hope of killing the one who was born to destroy him. Ghans imprisoned his own father, 𝗔𝗠𝗘𝗥𝗖𝗔, and he faced the consequences. He was killed by the Lord. Ravan, he also was evil. He chose the path of evil. He had the DNA of his father was a sadhu. He had the DNA of his father within him and the evil DNA of his mother within him. It was up to him where he wanted to go, but he chose evil. He chose the path of his mother. As a result of that, he had to pay a great price. After Manthara finished criticizing Dasarath in a lukewarm way, KAIKEYI criticized Manthara. She said, "Be silent. If ever you speak thus again, expert as you are in sowing seeds of discord in a family, I will have your tongue pulled out by the roots." 𝗦𝗘𝗩𝗔𝗦𝗛𝗥𝗑𝗖𝗔. So she waited until Manthara had said what she had to say, and then she rebuked Manthara. KAIKEYI, while rebuking Manthara for her words, is weak. She scolds Manthara as she should have, but she is not firm. Immediately after scolding Manthara, this is what she says: "Oh, sweet-tongued Manthara, I've said all this to you by way of advice. Otherwise, I cannot even dream of being angry with you. Happy and blessed will be that day on which what you say is proved to be true, that Ram will be crowned." Now I want to pause for a while. Whenever it is our duty to stop evil, we have to be firm. We cannot be lukewarm. There were two sadhakas. One of them was a senior one, the other one was junior. The senior one had a disciple. This disciple was decidedly evil. He was prone to violence. The slightest thing, he will attack you physically. He was a thief. He was a liar. And so many other bad things. And so, as a matter of course, the people whom he wronged went to his teacher, the senior sadhaka, and complained. And he will call his disciple and rebuke that disciple in front of those who were complaining. But as soon as they left, he would say, "I just said that to please them. You're my dear devotee. You're my dear disciple." What was he saying to that evil disciple? It is okay for you to be evil. Indirectly, he was saying that. And that turned out to be exactly right, because that disciple became a powerful evil person. So KAIKEYI should have stopped Manthara by being firm in her condemnation, but as soon as she was only lukewarm, she's saying that, "If you say so again, I will pull out your tongue." The next breath she's saying, "Oh Manthara, I only said so. you're very dear to me. I just advise you, this is what you should do. So, we see the weakness of KAIKEYI. She should have been very, very firm, and if she were, then all this trouble that happened in their mind would not have happened. In this next Chaupai, Tulsidas writes, Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Jao Biri Janamo Jai Kari Cho Ho Ram Siya Puta Poto Jao Biri Janamo Jai Kari Cho Ho Ram Siya Puta Poto Jai Rama Shri Rama Pramte Adhikaram Priya More Pramte Adhikaram Priya More Tinke Tilaka Chobuka Satore Tinke Tilaka Chobuka Satore Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Jai Rama Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. KAIKEYI says, all we royal mothers are as dear to Rama as Kaushalya. His biological mother is Kaushalya, but you'll never know. He treats us all the same way with the same love. Such is his innate disposition. Mo par karahi saneho bisesi, mai kari priti paricha dekhi. Mai kari priti paricha dekhi. He's particularly fond of me, O Manthara. I've had occasions to test his love. I've tested him. And I've always come to the conclusion that he loves me more than all his mothers. Even his own mother, Kaushalya. He loves me more than her. And then she says, should God in his goodness vouchsafe to me a human birth again, may Ram and Sita be my son and daughter-in-law. Ram is dearer to me than my own life. Why then should you be troubled at the news of his enthronement? And here she confesses that she had tested Ram before and is convinced that Ram loved her more than even Kaushalya. She says that if she is reborn, she wishes Ram and Sita to be her son and daughter-in-law respectively. She says, Ram is dearer to me than my life. These words show that what a good, loving son Ram was. He never wronged KAIKEYI in any way. He treated her with the same love and respect as he did Kaushalya. The cunning Manthara now uses a different strategy. She says, I've spoken once and I've had all my ambitions fulfilled, even though I said it out of the goodness of my heart. O Queen, you scolded me. I shall now speak again with another tongue. I will not speak like that anymore. I will not speak the truth, which is unpleasant to you, O my Queen. I will only speak pleasant things that you want to hear. My wretched head surely deserves to be broken, for I have offended you by my well-meant words. Those alone who make the false seem true, mother, are your favorites. Those who tell you nice things which are false, she calls her now mother, oh mother. You like them, while I am disagreeable to you because I tell you the truth which is inconvenient to you. Henceforth, I too will only say what pleases you, or else will hold my peace day and night. I will never say another bad thing, something which is unpleasant to you, O mother, because you don't want to hear it. She pretended to be sorry, but pleads that she only meant well. She said, seeing the queen was displeased with her, from then on she would not speak unpleasant truth, but say only the things the queen wished to hear. She used the argument that whoever is king, she would still be a servant, so her words were in no way self-serving, but were only intended for KAIKEYI's benefit. Such a clever, cunning woman. She had the experience of age, and KAIKEYI was much younger. So she was using all her guile to weave a web around KAIKEYI. We always have to be on our guard for people like these. If not, then we can suffer greatly. There were two men who followed a religious path. They were very helpful to each other. But one day, a deceitful woman did not like it that they were so close. So she decided to create enmity between them for her own benefit. She went to the older one and told him many lies, saying the other one was trying to take his position, and that people were disrespecting him, the senior one, and showing respect to the other guy who was his junior, and it was not right. Her lies became so convincing that he believed her, and he started to persecute the other sadhaka. She became his right hand, and she caused a lot of pain not only to him but to many other people. I've quoted this example to show what happens when we allow someone like Manthara to twist our minds. Only mayhem results, only trouble results. Manthara says, God has given me a deformed body and made me dependent on others. I must reap as I've sown and take as I've given. Whoever is king, what do I lose? What do I care? Shall I cease to be a servant now and become a queen? Very cunning and clever words. She's trying to tell KAIKEYI what I said. I have no self-interest. I don't gain anything by it. Whether Ram becomes king or Dasrath is king, I still will be the servant. I will not become a queen. So, in a cunning way, she's telling KAIKEYI, I did what I had to do, or I said what I said because I cared for you very much, O mother. In this next Chaupai, Tulsidas writes, Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Jai जोग सोबाऊ हमारा अनबल देखी न जाई तुम्हारा जा रही जोग सोबाऊ हमारा
बल देखी न जाई तुम्हारा। जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। ताते कछुक बाता अनुसारी, चमिया देवी बरी चूक हमारी। ताते कछुक बात अनुसारी, चमिया देवी बरी चूक हमारी। श्री राम
श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम।
Saying that she was making an impression on KAIKEyi, Manthara continues in her cunning way. Damnable is my nature in that I cannot bear to see your disgrace. I've said what I had to say, mother, my queen, because I don't wish to see you disgraced. That is why I gave utterance to a word or two. But pardon me, venerable lady, it was a great mistake on my part. Forgive me, because even though I said what I had to say out of love for you and to protect you, you rebuked me. Manthara again pretends that she only had uttered those words because she had the welfare of KAIKEyi at heart. Again, she plays on KAIKEyi's emotions by insincerely apologizing. Tulsidas refers to her words as subtle and agreeably deceitful. Tulsidas says, on hearing these subtle and agreeably deceitful words, the queen, who was a woman with a weak mind and was dominated by divine delusion, reposed her faith in an enemy, mistaking her for a friend. This Manthara's words were subtle because they seemed to be true. KAIKEyi felt, well, she really said this out of concern for me. But they were agreeably deceitful. Her words were pleasant to KAIKEyi, but they were deceitful. They were lies nonetheless. And when we listen to pleasant lies, the outcome is usually not good for us. When Lord Krishna was on earth, there was another king who called Lord Krishna the false Vasudeva, because people used to tell him, Krishna is not the real Vasudeva, you are, O king. And the more people told him that lie, that pleasant lie, the more he started to believe it. Yes, I am the anointed one. I am an incarnation of the Lord, not Krishna. Krishna is kapat. Krishna is false. And so he demanded that Krishna remove the title Vasudeva from his name, or else he had to fight him. He had to face him in battle. He told Krishna, I'm going to destroy you if you don't remove Vasudeva from your name and acknowledge me as the real Vasudeva. And we all know that ended. That king was killed by Lord Krishna in battle. So KAIKEyi treads on dangerous grounds. She listens to Manthara. Tulsidas says, because KAIKEyi was weak in mind, even though she was the queen and she had the upper hand to silence her servant, her maidservant, she allowed the maidservant to get into her head, allowed her to control her mind. Because she was weak in mind, she fell for Manthara's trap. Now she sees Manthara as the friend, and her own husband Dasrath, Kaushalya, Ram, and all the others as enemies, that they were all plotting against her. that they wanted to destroy her. She sees Manthara as a confidant, so she turns to Manthara for advice and help. She said, "Oh Manthara, I'm so fearful. Please tell me what I should do." Manthara says, "You said, O Queen, that Sita and Ram were dear to you and that you had endeared yourself to Ram. And what you say is true. But this is a thing of the past. Now those days are gone. When times change, even friends become foes." These are different times. You're innocent, you're naive, O Queen. Yes, Ram's kindness to you was just an act. Times change. Those who were friends in the past, they become foes whenever the situation changes. The sun fosters the family of lotuses, but in the absence of water, that same sun burns them to ashes. The rival Queen Kaushalya will tear you up by the root. So take care of your garden and hedge it about with a skin. Don't allow this to happen, O Queen. You think Kaushalya is your friend? You think Ram is your friend? The moment Ram becomes the Yuvraj, the moment Ram becomes king, that is your end. So now, the cunning Manthara had it her way. She always wanted this, and now the young Queen Kaushalya is totally in her charge. In this concluding Doha, Tulsidas writes, "Tum hi na sochu sohaga bal, tum hi na sochu sohaga bal, nij bas janahu rao, O Rama, nij bas janahu rao. Mana malina moha mita nirpum, raura sarala sobhau, O Rama, raura sarala sobhau."
सिया भज रामचंद्र की जय, शरणम शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम। सिया भज रामचंद्र की जय, शरणम शंकर हरि ओम जय जय सिया राम।
And now Manthara feels emboldened to criticize the king and the husband of KAIKEYI once again. You feel no concern because you rely on your husband's feigned affection and know him to be under your influence. The king is malicious of mind, though sweet of tongue. Your husband has a wicked heart, even though he speaks sweet words to you. But you are naive, you possess a guileless nature. So she's praising the queen. See how cunning, I can't help saying that. How cunning this Manthara is praising KAIKEYI, while at the same time driving home her words of hatred. That this Dasrat, he's a wicked man. He only is pretending that he likes you and he speaks nice words to you, but he doesn't have your welfare at heart. Ram's mother is crafty and deep, and having found her opportunity has turned it to account. You must know it is at the suggestion of Ram's mother that the king has sent away Bharat to visit his grandmother. Why do you think Bharat is away? Ram's mother, Kaushalya, planned that. She told Dasrat to send Bharat away so that she can anoint her son as the Yuvraj, and Bharat will not object. This Kaushalya says to herself, how could Manthara know what Kaushalya says to herself? But she has KAIKEYI in such a position now. Anything she says, KAIKEYI will believe. So she says that this Kaushalya says to herself, all the other queens serve me well. Only Bharat's mother, you KAIKEYI, only Bharat's mother is proud because of her influence with her lord. You, lady, are a thorn in Kaushalya's side, but she is too deep and crafty to make it known. She always saw you as an enemy. O mother, she never revealed it by her actions, but deep down, she saw you as an enemy, as a thorn in her side. And therefore, she is using this occasion to destroy you. She drives fear into KAIKEYI, and KAIKEYI, now like a frightened fawn, says, "O Manthara, advise me. What should I do? I don't want to be destroyed." And this Manthara reminds her, remember, many years ago before you, many years ago, you drove the chariot of King Dasarath in a battle where he was wounded, where he became unconscious, and by your skill, you fought off his attacker and you took him to safety. And in gratitude, the king promised you 2 boons, and you told him that you will ask for your boons later. Remember that, O mother? You yourself told me that, mother. Now is the time to ask for those boons. This is what you must do. Go into the sulking hall, throw away all your jewelry and all your royal attire, dress in a simple sari, and go into that sulking hall and keep crying. And when the king comes, demand your 2 boons. And this is what you must ask the king for your 2 boons. That one, your son Bharat should be the king after you, O King Dasarath. And secondly, Ram should be sent to exile for 14 years. 14 years, because that will be enough time for Bharat to consolidate his position. You see how evil works on a weak mind. In a sense, all of us, we're like KAIKEYI. KAIKEYI loves Sri Ram. We all love God because we know God loves us. KAIKEYI said, I have tested Ram and I found he always loved me. We know deep down that God loves us and we want to love God. But Manthara is saying to us, no. Manthara is symbolizing our mind in a sense. Our mind is saying, no. If you enthrone God in your Ayodhya, in your body, you will suffer. There is no fun in seeking God. There is no fun in seeking God. All the fun lies in running after the worldly things and enjoying the things of the senses. And so, we've listened to this mantra and we're filled with fear. How can I live a life without happiness? If I seek God, my life will be constant sufferings. Can't you see the lives of saints, how much they suffer? Where is the happiness in their lives? Our mantra, our mind is telling us, no, don't go that way. Don't seek God. Don't enthrone Ram. Put another Lord there. Let the world be your Lord. Let the world rule your life. Then you'll be happy. And we all know how that ended. How that ended up for KAIKEYI, how much she had to suffer. And so to dear ones, would we listen to this mind? Will we just say, we tell the mind, oh, shut up. But then, like KAIKEYI, we tell the mind, I care for you very much. We're not formed in pushing out these thoughts that the mind sent to us to abandon God. KAIKEYI was not strong enough, her mind was weak. As a result, she fell for the trap. Would we allow the mind to dictate to us, to ask us to abandon God, to exile God from our lives? It depends on us. If we're strong, if we rule our minds with an iron fist, then we will not share the same fate of KAIKEYI. I pray that we all be strong. I pray that we all enthrone Sri Ram in our hearts. We enthrone God in our hearts. We do not fall for the wiles of Manthara. I pray that by the grace of God, the Lord rule our Ayodhya, rule our lives. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om.